Yo, what's up? It's your boy Showtime Doctor. It just dawned on me, even though I went through the patch notes when the patch came out, I haven't done a proper review for this banner, so I really apologize for that, guys. I only reacted to the new characters. I'd like to go ahead and do this for you right now, so let's take a look at the first banner. So, Morrigan, I've actually managed to get her. Boy, she doesn't stop talking, does she? I've actually managed to get Morrigan. Morrigan is super good. Super good. One of the top tier DPSs in the game right now, actually. So let's go through her skills. When you get a 6-star, she's going to have 40% additional attack for fire allies. You might look at this and be like, but Electra has 60% Showtime DR. Why would I put her as leader? Well, Electra has 60% damage if all 5 people are fire. But if all 5 people are not fire, you can have 40% with Morrigan here. For passive, inflict damage equal to 40%. That's probably going to go up a little bit. I forget exactly what it is, but it goes up a little bit with her extra star, percentage-wise. 40% of attack to bleeding target at the start of the turn. Increase caster's attack by 8. I'm pretty sure that's 10 at 6-star. For 2 turns while attacking a bleeding target, stacks up to 5 times. So basically, she attacks a bleeding target, she's going to get stronger. She has 2 skills which can cause bleeding. So, and she also has, if you desire it, she has a hero talent. I believe it's her 50 or 52 that has an additional chance to do bleeding. I believe on her 2. So basically, stacks up to 5 times. So it could be an up to 50% attack buff. Applies the status Demon Sword Bloody Petal to the caster upon killing an enemy to inflict 30% additional damage for 2 turns. So another damage buff right there. So you can already kind of see what's going on with the spiraling damage here. Everything is damage, 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 damage. Okay. So here's her 60 talent. 50% chance to apply Demon Sword Bloody Petal to the caster for 2 turns when attacking. Demon Sword Bloody Petal, if you forgot, it's probably, I want to say it's 40%. That's 6 stars. You know what, I should just show you mine. And let me just do that. Come back to the banner. Mine isn't like this force of nature or anything, but at least we can see the 6-star talents. There she is. I guess, oh, I forgot, they kind of switched up the, well, we can still do it. Anyways. So yeah, it was 50%, 10%, like I said, etc. So, 50% chance on her 60 to apply Demon Sword Bloody Petal. Revives with 50% and HP and becomes a Berserker for 3 turns upon death. Once per battle, guarantees counterattack and multi-strike and decreases damage taken by 25. This, before I even get into this, that Berserker is a really cool effect. She's actually a very beautifully programmed character, drawn character. But basically, you know, Demon Sword, 50% chance. You know, you're going to hit 30% harder when that goes off for 2 turns. Now, when she gets killed, she revives with 50% HP, which is a pretty good percentage for a revive as a Berserker. 3 turns. And it's not 3 turns and she dies again, it's 3 turns. You lose control of her, she does whatever the hell she wants. But she's doing a lot more damage, and she's multi-attacking and counter-striking with whatever she's doing. So she's dealing a buttload of damage, and she's taking decreased damage on top of that. If you happen to have a healer, go ahead and try to heal her up, assuming you can get her back to healthy shape, and then you'll have her back, you know, eventually after 3 turns. And hopefully whatever she's doing with those 3 turns is going to be good. So on her 1, 35% chance to cause bleeding for 30% of attack. So you really want to pump attack with her because her bleeding is her overall damage here. And then likewise, you see here, additional damage based on her attack, additional damage based on her attack. So you really want to get that 4-star attack set, and you probably want to get the 5% crit, the 2-set rune for her afterwards. But you know, depending on what you're doing. Her 2 right here inflicts damage equal to 120% of attack to a target and 2 adjacent enemies, so 3 people. 35% chance to cause bleeding for 30% of attack for 2 turns. Removes 1 buff from the target. So we have another character here that's removing buffs, just like Rue, just like Karen, just like Ruby, even though Ruby's is a little better, but still, a bleed and remove buff on a 2, that's AoE, that's super good. So, and our ultimate, 300% attack, ignores defense. So pretty much just like Saya's attack here, except 60% chance to make the target unable to be revived for 2 turns. So that's really good considering the revive meta that's going on currently in the PvP. Decreases the cooldown of skill number 3 by 2 turns if the attack fails to kill the target. So basically, you're just doing it for some deeps. You got it back in five turns. You got someone in your party that's reducing skill cooldowns for party members. Hey, maybe you got it back in 4, 3. Who knows what's going on. So this character is super good. I would actually put her in, if she's not top 5 in DPS right now, she's damn close. She's like 6 or 7, so really good character, especially if you're building a fire team. If you got that Leafa, you got that Electra, you got that Sertic, you got some of those fire characters. Of course, you got Rue. She's gonna put in a lot of work for you, so definitely check her out for sure. Now let's get to the rest of the banner heroes. But also, before I get off her, she is useful in PvE and PvP. Okay, so whatever you want to do with her, it's gonna be good. Now, Damien. This is a guy I'm actually not super familiar with, but I've seen the way he's played because I don't have him myself. So when you get him to 6-star, it's 25% on his leadership here with the fire evade. There's a lot of people that run him with full fire teams in arena with the evasion. Now you're asking, why would you run, 25% evasion? Well, every time he evades, he becomes immune to damage for a turn. So basically, it's like a full... What the heck? Random Facebook thing. Anyways. Passive hero talents. Invincible Justice, so this is his 60. Increases the caster's attack by 30% for 2 turns when granted damage immunity. So obviously he's getting it from this. If you have someone else, like a Cordelia, or maybe another tank, a Sid, if you're lucky enough to have Sid by now, the 4-star Advent boss. Anyone who grants damage immunity, this dude's gonna, hulk up a little bit, get that 30% damage. This guy's also a White Knight, by the way, if you don't know. Skill 1, inflicts damage equal to 100%, 35% chance to decrease the target's attack. Pretty good for 1. On his 2, inflicts damage equal to 200% of attack to 1 target, 50% chance to stun for 2 turns. So, that's pretty good. Considering a pretty good chance to stun. 2-turn stun is pretty devastating for most teams, unless they have a Rue or a Dispiller. And then on his skill 3, his ultimate inflicts damage equal to 165% of attack to 3 targets, 35% chance to inflict additional damage equal to 35% of attack. So this character, he's kind of a little situational. He's fire, obviously, so if you happen to have him, maybe you need evade for something. He's not terrible. I've seen him with some burst teams in PvP, some fire burst teams. That's actually been really good. He wasn't leader, though. Leader was always either Electra or Morrigan, but either way, it's someone for you to look at. I wouldn't place him anywhere near top tier, but he's still really good. He's maybe a step and a half, 2 steps behind. So if you get him on the banner, maybe he'll fit in. So Nemesis. Nemesis was actually the 4th SSR I pulled, I believe. I pulled her and Ashley on the same... Oh no, I pulled her and Ellie on the same banner. Nemesis is a little weird. She's fire as well. If you didn't notice, guys, I kind of snuck in a second fire banner with all these heroes. But anyway, so once you get her to 6-star, that's 20% on crit damage right here. Fire and Dark. And like I've said in other videos, Fire and Dark has some synergy. Don't sleep on that combo. Sertic, Mina, etc. This girl, obviously. 20% chance, passive skill. Make the target unable to be revived for 2 turns when attacking. Each stack of Dark Orb increases attack by 6%. So obviously anti-revive. It's situational. In PvP it's decent. Dark Orb is a self-stacking buff that she has. I believe it's 8% when you get her to... it might be 30 and 8% when you get her to 6-star. basically Dark Orb stacks 3 times, so that's basically 24% more damage, and then it's used on some of the other stuff. We'll get to that later. Inflicts 30% more damage when attacking a target that cannot be revived. So if you got her with like a Morrigan or someone like that, hell, even or I just said Morgan, Mary as well. You know, they put on this cannot be revived debuff, so you know she'll do a little bit more damage there with her 60 talent. Skill 1, you know, 55% chance to gain a Dark Orb. Skill 2 is a decent buff here, critical strike chance by 15%. I believe when you skill that up all the way, also gain a Dark Orb. When you skill it up all the way, I believe it's 40% critical chance and 3 Dark Orbs. Very underrated. Always look at like Lifa or any person that has like a pure buff skill. Always look at upgrading that just for the team. This can be really good, obviously. And obviously, you're going to gain a Dark Orb no matter what with this, so that's really good. And then Shadow Strike, that's her ultimate. It kind of looks like, for those who watch Naruto, the Futan Rasen Shuriken rather, but a dark version. Anyways, inflicts damage equal to 120% to all enemies, consumes all Dark Orbs to inflict 5% additional damage. I believe that goes up a little bit. I forget, but it's not that much more damage. It might be like 8% or something. So she's kind of DPS, but she's... To me, she's a hybrid, but I don't know. She's not bad. The crazy synergy you can think of, because she's fire as well. Get Lifa and her in the party, because Lifa's 2 also is a buff. It's a buff, I believe it's 20% attack. You know, this is unupgraded. 20% attack, 20%. It's either crit damage or crit chance. And then 20% damage mitigation, so you get hit 20% less hard. So assuming you skill both of their 2s up, and you do it, you could probably get a lot of burst damage on your fire team. So that's nothing to be underrated, but obviously Lifa's a lot better than this hero. This hero, she's about, you know... Honestly, I'm not gonna say average. Like, she's above average, but... yeah, she needs some work if they want her to be like a damage, or because she does decent damage, but she's more there for her skills and her support stuff, so that's just the way it is. So that's my recommendation on that character. If you get any of these characters, it's gonna be really good, but you obviously want Morrigan. Also, so you guys know, where is it? Show you guys. I guess they're not actually showing. Oh yeah, here it is. So you click this gold thing right here. On both these banners, there is a kind of like a build-up. So summon 1 time, summon 2 times, you get these rewards on the right. Eventually, I believe you hit 10 times, it'll just give you the hero, the main banner hero. So assuming you got the crystals for that and you're frustrated you're not getting the hero, hey, at least there's all this extra stuff. And, you know, you'll eventually get the hero. So, and before I even finish this, my recommendation, if you're going for PvE, pull for Morrigan, don't pull for this bottom banner. I'll do this bottom banner right now. The bottom banner we have Claude. Claude is a very interesting character. I do not have him, but I will tell you about him. Go over him. So Claude, right now he has the... By the way, he's Saya's older brother, for those who are interested in the lore. He has the reputation of being a very good PvP tank and a terrible PvE tank. So if you're really into PvP, this is the banner you want to pull on, because even though Morrigan's really good in PvE and maybe you want her too, but you definitely want Claude for your PvP team. And here's why. So his passive, once he gets to 6-star, that's going to be defense 20% for Dark Wind. Interesting synergy there, but I'll tell you more about that later. That is actually a very interesting synergy. So passive skill, that's going to go up a little bit, probably like 70% or something. Chance to taunt all enemies 1 turn and apply Veil of Phantasm. If you don't know what Veil of Phantasm is, it's basically Deimos' shield on crack. So it's like a dodge, absorb shield. And the caster also gets Dirge Ghost Girl. Dirge Ghost Girl basically makes you immune to all damage except penetration damage. He gets that as his passive. So you can already kind of see how he's going to be a little ridiculous here. Just with the passive. Anyway, so really good shield, taunt, immune to most damage, just on his passive, right? So it's 60 right here. And this is easy to misread, but I've actually seen it in action now, so now I know what it does. I'll explain it to you, but changes an ally's lower HP ratio to that of the caster if the caster is affected by Dirge, Ghost Girl at the end of the turn. So let's say you DPS this guy down to 40%, something like that, right? And then this goes off. So all his allies have a shield, he has you taunted, and only penetration damage is damaging him. Well, if you have a healer or lots of HP recovery on him, or however you do it, you get him from 40% to 100%. At the end of the turn, everyone on the team's at 100%, even if they were at 5%, 25%, 45%. Bing, they're all at 100%. And this can go off again. So, just by looking at his passives, I hope you guys can already see how ridiculous he is. But we'll get to his skills now. Death's Arrow on his 1. 55% damage to 3 enemies. 30% chance to taunt. That's going to go to 40 at 6-star for 1 turn. 50% chance to decrease attack by 30% for 2 turns if the target is taunted. So if they're already taunted, hey, he's decreasing people's attack. So with a taunt, hitting 3 people, that's very good for 1 for a tank. Skill 2, Spirit Tome, inflicts damage equal to 200% of attack to 1 enemy. 50% chance to put the target to sleep for 2 turns. So you got a little bit of sleep meta there if you're running a Saya or if you're running Ellie, etc. 35% chance to brand target for 2 turns. Brand, basically, target takes 30% additional damage from everything. Super good debuff. So you got sleep, you got brand, and you got pretty good damage there. Not that he's a damager. He's really not a damager, but that just does a little bit more. Now, his skill 3, Funnel Breath, inflicts damage equal to 165% of attack to 3 enemies. 50% chance to apply Looming Death to targets for 2 turns, if they have any debuffs. Looming Death, if you don't know what Looming Death is, basically it's a debuff. First turn, you're taking a bunch of damage, 50% of your health. Second turn, you're dead, unless it gets dispelled. So, applies Dirge Ghost Girl to the caster for 2 turns with his skill 3 on cooldown here, guys. I don't know what the cooldown is, but I'm sure it's probably 7, 6 turns. Who knows? So there's your Ghost Girl. Damage immunity. If an enemy removes Dirge Ghost Girl, so if you got to dispel that, enemy falls asleep for 2 turns. So I hope you can easily see how ridiculous this guy is. And like I told y'all earlier, let's go back to his skills. Dark Wind. I ran into a team in PvP. Now keep in mind, my team on average, they have about 3 purple stars on top of all their 60s and etc., right? I ran into a team with him, Ruby, and the usual suspects, Ramu, Rue, and Kane. And they were like 0 purple stars, 1 purple star, less overall health for the most part. I think most of them had their 60s. They destroyed my team. Okay, destroyed my team. It wasn't even close. Like, by the time I started doing damage to other heroes, this guy would taunt me. Then he would get Dirge Ghost Girl up. Looming Death killed 1 or 2 people. Ruby kept dispelling all my shields and stuff I was putting up. And by now, if you PvP, you know how ridiculous Rue and Ramu and Kane are. They seem to be on like damn near every team. So if you manage to get that team or a similar team together with Dark Wind synergy, you will destroy people in PvP. Considering the AI, you got 2 reses there. You got all types of buff, dispel for both debuffs and buffs. You got Kane raging up whenever someone heals. It's just ridiculous. So highly recommend this guy if you're very serious about your PvP. Personally, I'm really not pulling on that banner, but I might consider it. We'll see. Usually the Twitch chat usually talks me into pulling on things. So Ashley. So I have an Ashley. Like, you know what? Oh, actually, I haven't really upgraded him that much. So when you get a 6-star Ashley, multi-strike chance, I believe, goes to 30 for Dark, which is pretty gnarly. Ashley, by the way, he's a very good unit, single target deeps for the most part. He has what I would consider to be the second best uh, dot in the game. Ebony Wounds, first going to Electra with her 60. Pardon me, guys. The throat just can't keep up sometimes. So let's go ahead and go over his skills here. So Ebony Wound. 60% chance to apply an Ebony Wound, 20% of attack to the target for 3 turns when attacking, 60% chance to apply Ebony Wound to a random enemy if the target has Ebony Wound. Wait, let me read that. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Okay, learned something new. Well, basically, Ebony Wounds is entirely what this character works off of. So it's a dot that goes a percentage off his attack. So you want to get this guy's attack, his base attack, as high as possible. So definitely, in my opinion, run the attack rune, 4-set, and then get, you know, your choice of crit strike or multi, whatever you want to do at that point. This dot, by the way, stacks up to 10 times. You are reading that correctly. Ebony Wound, 20% of attack, stacks up to 10 times. It's 1 stack per attack. If he multis, it's 2. You might get this random proc. But basically, if you have like a long-term, like the raid dungeon boss or something like that, this dude's going to put out a butt ton of damage if you keep him up. He's a little squishy, but if you keep him up, he does a great amount of damage. So his 60, once you get up to it, inflicts damage equal to 50% of attack that ignores defense when attacking a target with Ebony Wound. So you get Ebony Wound on somebody, you're doing additional damage to him that ignores defense. So once again, like I said, single target deeps, this guy's a monster. He needs to build up to it, but once he builds up to it, you know, he's like a freaking submachine gun. So by the way, his 1 hits multiple times as well. I believe 4 times. That might be 3. So, you know, if you get like some chance on runes with him or something like that, there's higher chance for him to get his stuff off. So Dark Sword skills right here, inflicts damage equal to 100%. This is his 1. It's a single target. More damage if the target has higher health. So you once again, you put him on a raid boss that always has higher health. More extra damage right there. His number 2. So his number 2 is usually what he starts out with, what you want to start out with in most fights, unless something's going to die within like 2 turns. Increases the caster's critical strike chance by 30 for 2%. So that's a self buff, obviously. Increases critical strike damage by 30%. 2 turns. 100% chance to apply 5 stacks of Ebon Wound for 20% of attack to all enemies, guys. All enemies. So basically 100% of his attack is going to start ticking on everybody for 3 turns. It's pretty ridiculous. That is his only AoE. A dot cannot kill somebody, but it can still tick for a good amount of damage. So, and then his 3, it's going to go ahead and inflict 300% attack to 1 target. 70% chance to decrease the target's buff duration by 1, so a little freebie there. 55% chance to stun for 2 turns, a little bit of CC. So pretty much what you usually want to do with this guy, assuming it's going to be a fight that's at least 3 or 4 rounds, start with your 2, get your dot on everybody, throw your ult out to somebody, and then, you know, just hit this over and over, stack the dot as high as possible, and then just rinse and repeat. So, rinse and repeat. So this guy does really good deeps. He's a little bit squishy, but highly recommend to get him. Especially if you need single target damage on raid boss, guild bosses, anyone that stays up for a long time. So, and then Mina, I've gone over her before, but I'll do her again for this video. So Mina, actually, yeah, we've had some stuff clarified for Mina since my last review anyway, so it's good to get that out there. So this is going to be 20% multi, Dark and Wind. Passive skill here, Foxfire Globes, it's her stacking buff. Pretty much 40% chance to obtain a Foxfire Globe when using skill 1 or 2, max of 3. And consumes all Firefox Globes to revive up to 1 time, restores 30% of HP per Foxfire Globe when revived. So that hasn't changed. What has changed, however, her 60, they clarified it because it wasn't very clear. Inflicts damage equal to 20% of attack for each Foxfire Globe when attacking. Inflicts additional damage equal to 30% of attack when attacking a charmed enemy. If you notice, this used to say revives up to 3 times if, I believe the dependent was if she had a Foxfire Globe. That has been removed. She does not revive 3 times. She only revives once. And, you know, so you gotta kind of be careful if she's getting low on health. Try to keep her with as many Foxfire Globes as possible because you can burn them all with your 3. But we'll get to that later. So Foxfire, her 1, 30% chance to charm a target for a turn. Her 2, it's a 3 target, 25% chance to charm. And her 3, it's a AoE ult. It consumes all her Foxfire Globes. Inflicts 120% damage to all enemies. 35% chance to ignore, or excuse me, to inflict damage equal to 25% of attack. That ignores defense. Chance to stun the target if there are 3 or more Foxfire Globes. So basically, most of the time you see her in PvP, she's going to go ahead and ult right away and try to stun people. Then she's going to come back with her 2 and try to charm people. She can wreak havoc with her CC. She's fairly squishy. She can be pretty good in PvE. You just got to kind of worry about her reviving here, because if you don't have any Foxfire Globes, she basically revives with like 1 health. So just at that point, anyone can take her out. So you got to be careful with her. But once again, she does good deeps. Pretty good hero. If you happen to get her Dark Fire synergy or Dark Wind synergy, depending on what you're going for. Her with Surdic, who also works off Charm, is pretty amazing. So, and once again, they have the review banner, or excuse me, the bonus stuff right here. And if you really want Claude, summon 10 times on this banner, and he's yours. So, and that's pretty much your banner review, guys. Also, one thing to note, in case you didn't know, there is an event going on for these 2 heroes. So if you go over here to achievements, come over here to event. As you can see, I've already gotten all the Morrigan ones, but they're going to reward you for building up these characters. So if you happen to pull one, I believe you have about 2 weeks. Go ahead and get, you know, there's also Arena Victory and use stamina bonuses too. But, you know, go ahead and start leveling them. Get these evolve them on. You got some 5 stars here. Get this gold. Get these rainbows, etc. And yeah, go to town. That's literally one of the few reasons I'm thinking about getting Claude, even though he'd be good for PvP, obviously. I'm not really super focused on PvP. But hey, if you can get the bonuses, make sure you get the bonuses, because free stuff is free stuff, right? You're going to be building up these characters anyway, so go for it. So there you have it, guys. So Showtime Doctor, Showtime DR on Twitch. Stream this game most days, evenings, and afternoons Pacific Standard Time. Hope this video helped you out. And I promise not to be this late with the guide for, or the banner review for the next banner. So once again, guys, farm hard, get strong, hit hard, get buff, you know the deal. Peace out. Have a great day.